Hello, my name is Waylon Lewis, and every week we'll bring you a new podcast with Elephant Journal. I'm here with Bo Burlingham. Is that how you say your last name?
Yeah, that's right.
Burlingham is how I always say it, which is rude. And you wrote at Inc. You're a journalist.
I started in January of 1983. I started at Inc. magazine. I had been working for the previous year at Fidelity Investments, which was for 1 year, and that was my introduction to business. Prior to that, business was the last thing I wanted to get involved in.
How funny.
But I had to earn a living.
Yeah.
And our children were small, and so I went to Fidelity, and that was an eye-opener for me because it challenged a lot of the ideas that I had. And then Inc. came along.
Challenge ideas you'd had about business?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. After
I spent some time at Fidelity, I would read stories about the financial services industry in like The Nation or what have you. And it was like reading my old FBI reports, which was because I did have a history.
At the FBI?
No, the FBI was interested in me.
Oh, I see. What was your history? I don't know about any of this.
Do you want to know about it?
Sure. I mean, we're going down a rabbit hole. This is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was a wild-eyed radical in my youth, and I got involved with became a member of the Weathermen.
What?
Yeah. And, the one good thing that came out of it was that I met Lisa. She was also in the Weathermen.
Nice.
And
that sounds like a Hollywood movie about radicals falling in love.
Yeah, I know. It's the way we were.
Yeah, right, exactly. Robert Redford played you.
Yeah, right. And Barbra Streisand.
Yeah, exactly. That was my grandma's favorite movie, or one of them. Yeah.
So in any event, at a certain point, I got indicted. Lisa and I was being followed around by the FBI. Basically, the Weathermen had gone underground. I didn't want to go underground. I didn't want to be a fugitive. And so I wasn't. But the FBI decided that I might as well have been a fugitive because they began tailing me all over the place. And finally, Lisa and I, it was quite a time. I mean, for a while we were staying at my mother's and father's house, and the FBI was watching the house 24 hours a day, and all kinds of things. They'd follow us around wherever we went, and they had some sort of a homing device on the car. So Lisa and I decided we had to get out of there. So we managed to escape to Boston, mainly because we didn't have enough money to get to California. And I had friends in Boston. And I was able to talk my way into a job as the news director of WBCN FM, which was one of the first FM rock and roll stations. And we weren't very good at it. We called it Yesterday's News Tomorrow. We did it for a couple of days, and I had this whole group of people who went out to get the news, and then they'd come back and I'd put it all together, and one of the disc jockeys would read the news. That worked well we got through the first 3 days, and then on the fourth day, I sent everybody out, and I was sort of waiting behind at the radio station to put everything together, and we had one of those old AP ticker tapes, and it started to go off, and I wanted to see what the news was, so I got up and looked at it, and it said 13 leaders of the Weather Underground organization were indicted in Detroit.
Wow.
And
these are all your colleagues or
well, they're
buddies?
people I knew.
Yeah.
And I mean, I started to read the names as it came up, and these were all, most of them were underground. Some of them I knew were not underground. And then I got to the last name on the list, and it was me.
Damn it. It wasn't alphabetical.
No, it wasn't alphabetical. And I took it into the disc jockey, who wasn't terribly sympathetic. I showed him the thing, and he said, "Oh shit, what are we going to do for news director now?" I said, "Charles, that's not really my biggest concern." But I basically had to hide out while I had talked to a lawyer, and then I'd already decided I wasn't going underground, so I had to turn myself. I was going to turn myself in. So that was interesting. 24 hours in itself, and eventually I did turn myself in, and my parents very nicely bailed me out. And then I was on. I was out, but there were all kinds of things happening with the case. There was an issue of wiretaps that got argued all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Wow.
And then Watergate started to happen.
Wow.
And we saw that there was this group called the Plumbers, and we wondered about it, and our lawyers the judge asked for discovery. Did any of this have anything to do with the defendants here? And the government said they couldn't answer for national security reasons. And the judge said, "Well, then you can't prosecute this case if you can't do that, because you have to tell the defendants if you acquired any information in this way." And the government said, "Okay, well, but Watergate was going on, and the Nixon administration was, Bernstein, Woodward were out there, and Seymour Hersh, and the Nixon administration was still trying to keep a lid on things." And we showed up for trial, and I think it was August of 1970. Must have been 73, I think, and ready to go to trial. And the U.S. attorney got up and moved to dismiss all the charges.
Wow.
And our lawyers got up and said, with prejudice, meaning they wouldn't be brought back later. And they said, the U.S. attorney said, "Yeah, with prejudice."
Because they just had enough on their plate.
Well,
kind of thing.
I think they were still trying to cover up what had happened.
Yeah.
And there was just information they didn't want to reveal. So in the end, John Mitchell wound up going to jail, and I got out of jail. I did not go to jail.
Wow, what a time.
Well, yeah, it was pretty intense. So I then had to decide what I was going to do, because I sort of had it in my head that, until this trial gets out of the way, I can't really make plans for the future or anything. I was working at a couple of the, I'd worked at a couple of the local magazines, sort of, not quasi-underground, like the Village Voice type magazines in Boston. And
was the Phoenix there back in the day?
The Phoenix,
yeah.
And the Real Paper, and then I'd been recruited. I'd been working at what was the predecessor of Phoenix, Boston After Dark, and I got recruited away to go be managing editor of Ramparts magazine in Berkeley.
So you'd had a lot of journalistic experience. You went to school for it, or?
No.
No.
I just started doing it.
Wow. I went to Boston University for journalism,
really? Oh, really?
Yeah, in poli-sci, but journalism was my major.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What year was that?
I started in 92.
Oh, okay.
And I graduated in 98. Took a couple years off.
So this was happening a lot before you.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, you know, the ins and outs of who bought what and how the names changed were all sort of complicated. But in any event, I did go out. We moved out to Berkeley, and I was at Ramparts magazine when all this stuff with my trial was, we were with the case was sort of happening, and all this stuff was happening. And then after it was dismissed, we decided to move back to Boston, mainly because Lisa wanted to go to nursing school. And then I was there, and I did various other things, and one thing led to the other, and I had some ins with Esquire magazine, actually. I wrote at Harper's. I did an article at Harper's, and then I did another one at Esquire magazine. Actually, Nora Ephraim was my editor, and that was pretty interesting. And then I was doing other things, and I got to the point where, again, I had to have a job, a real job. I was freelancing.
Right.
And
yeah, my dad does that now.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, feast or famine, mainly famine.
Yeah.
And I went to work at Fidelity, and it was eye-opening for me because I had such a radical background, and I saw, gee, these are actually all pretty good people, and they're really trying to do good things, and they're not nearly as evil as I had imagined. And a lot of the stuff that I believed in my radical youth was just bull. And and then I got recruited by Inc. was in Boston at the time, and they were looking for people who knew something about business and had a background in general interest magazine journal.
And they were a startup, Inc. itself, right?
They were a startup, and they were like 3.5 years old or something when they came to me. And we worked things out, and I wound up going to work for Inc. And that was really my introduction to entrepreneurship. And that was a whole world opening up to me.
That must have been so fun.
It was.
Because Inc. was fantastic.
It was very exciting.
Yeah.
And it was, we had the sense that there was this incredible stuff that was going on in the economy, and that we were the only ones really looking at it back then.
Thanks for listening. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. The full conversation is on our indie platform that supports and continues our work, elephantjournal.com/videos. You can subscribe, listen, watch, and participate there. And when you do so, you'll keep these mindful videos and podcasts going. elephantjournal.com/videos. May it be of benefit.